There it is. All right. So congratulations. What an exciting year you have ahead of you. I have belonged to a lot of Toastmasters clubs. Vice President Education is my very favorite officer role that I have ever held. This is the role that you get to watch people bloom. They come to Toastmasters and you guide them into the people that they are meant to be. It's so exciting. So I want to talk first about the purpose. Before we go into the what you do, the how you do it, I want to talk about the purpose of the Vice President Education. And I know that a lot of you have heard of Simon Sinek, begin with why, right? So why do clubs have a Vice President Education? Think, there's a person out there that has heard about Toastmasters, doesn't really know what Toastmasters is. So get this person in your mind. For me, it's a young woman, okay? So she's out there, she's heard about Toastmasters from a college professor or something in passing, and she thinks, hey, that Toastmasters, that sounds pretty interesting, I'd like to learn more. So she goes on the internet, she types Toastmasters. Well, it's pretty easy to find Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters.org, it pops up, there it is. She looks through it a little bit, she's thinking, yeah, this sounds interesting, I think I'd like to do this. I wonder if there are Toastmasters near me. Find the club. She finds the Find a Club button and she looks and, hey, there's a club that's right down the road, not too far away. And she clicks on it and gets right into that club's website because the Vice President of Public Relations has done a really good job and has linked the club website to the Toastmasters International site. She looks, she says, oh wow, look, those are friendly looking people because the club members are on the website, right? And there's directions on how to get there and the time that it meets and all of this information. I think I'm going to go and check that out. And look, I can even click on this link and I can reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm coming to your club, so that they're expecting me. Vice President of Public Relations has done a really good job. They've gotten this young woman to the door of your Toastmasters meeting. She shows up on meeting day. Somebody spots her in the doorway. They say, come on in, here. I'm going to introduce you to our president, and then I'm going to introduce you to our vice president membership. Vice president membership takes the person and says, oh, why are you here? How did you hear about Toastmasters? Well, I've got a role during the meeting, so I can't talk with you the whole time, but let me have you sit here next to Rosalind. She's an experienced Toastmaster, and she'll tell you what's going on as we go through. And after the meeting, the Vice President membership says, would you like to join our club? And she says, yes, I'd love to join your club. Can I join your club? Vice President membership signs her up. She joins the club. This is at the end of the meeting. So the next meeting, she shows up, she comes in, she sits down. Now what? Take yourself back to when you were this member and you came to your very first Toastmasters meeting as a new member. What happened? What happened?
The Toastmaster came and sat down and kind of started talking through the process.
Right.
Prior to the person coming, the VP membership and the president or whoever's entering the membership application would immediately notify the VP education, and the VP education will assign a mentor. So we'll have the phone number and call the person ahead of time and tell them, hey, our club meets here, and since you're a new member, I'd like to assign you a mentor, and assign a mentor and start the process. So set them up for the meeting well ahead of time.
Very good, right? So why do you have a Vice President Education? Because you've got a new member who has needs, desires, wants, and has shown up at your club and has joined your club. And somebody's got to shepherd that person through the process. And whether it's actually the Vice President Education, that person's mentor, or somebody else in the club, somebody has to take that person's hand and make them familiar with the club culture, how to navigate through Toastmasters and that type of thing. But think about it too, right? Okay, so you've got this new member, but you've also got a whole room full of existing members. And they all have needs and desires and wants. They're all there for a specific reason too, right? And that's the vice president education that runs that whole educational program for your club. So is there any question in your mind why the vice president education is the second ranking officer in the Toastmasters Club? This is a huge role. It's an important role, but you get help doing it. So I don't want to overwhelm you. Who here has never been vice president education in the club before? It's the first time. Or, okay, Dave Reed, are you a vice president education now?
No, Vice President of Public Relations.
But you've never
Never
done,
been,
you've
no.
never, why is that?
Just I never had the opportunity.
Become a member of one club, I'll give you that.
Who's taking on the role for the first time this year?
Oh, no, not for the first time.
So Mary, tell us about it. Mary, right, what
Well,
club
I
are you
just
with?
kind of watched. I was the secretary for 2 years and the club that I was at, and I had thought about stepping up, and one of the club members said, you know, Mary, I think you'd be really good at this role, so I decided to do it.
Great, great. And how has it been for you so far?
It's been going okay.
Okay. And what about people that have been vice president education before? Rosalind?
I love the role because you get to talk to all of the members of your club, talk to each one of them, ask them what their goals are, you know, what they're trying to accomplish. Every 6 months, reach out to them and say, rather than reaching out to the members during the dues period and saying dues are up, it would be nice if you reach out to them every 2-3 months and ask them, how are you doing as far as your goals are going? You know, because each one joined Toastmasters with some goal in mind. So have they accomplished their goal? Because if they did not come in and get what they wanted, they're going to leave. And if you do not see somebody who has not attended your club meeting, it would be nice to reach out to them and ask, oh, I haven't seen you at a couple meetings. Is everything okay with you? So that you can, and the job of filling the agenda is something I love. So now I am the Vice President of Education for ASOS Advanced, where every single person there is a DTM and we have like 3 international directors and past district directors. So it becomes very challenging and very intimidating for me to be the Vice President of Education in that kind of a setting.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And you were going to say something, the gentleman right behind Rosalind. What's your name?
Ken.
Ken.
Well, I was VP before I became president. It seemed like that was a stepping stone. And for me, it was, I spent a lot of time on the details. I never really talked to anybody because I was busy having to refill agendas all the time. You'd set up an agenda, have people on the agenda would call, hey, I can't make it or whatever. So I spent sadly spent a lot more time on the details than I did on doing that. But I also spent a lot of time chasing members down and said, let's see if we can get you up and get your CC, or now it's your like presentation master, whatever you're going on the paths these
Right.
days.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's been a new job. I think I'll be taking some ideas to my successor and pass along. She hasn't been to. I don't know if she's been to a TLI yet, so let's find out.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about the role a little bit, and very much like the presidents, the slides mirror that. So there are responsibilities at the club meeting, outside of the club meeting, and to the executive committee. I'm going to click through some of these. I'll let you read them. We talked about, so you get to the meeting and you walked around and one of the persons is not there, so you have to immediately try to find somebody to fill it.
You click the head slide.
Did I? Am I going the right way?
Correct.
Oh, it's back there too. Isn't that amazing? All right.
Everywhere but in the front lectern.
I love PowerPoint. You can tell I start talking with my hands and I start clicking all over the place and going crazy. So you greet the guests, and it's always nice for somebody, at least, you know, and this is a good role for the Vice President of Education. If you've got a guest at the meeting, go up to them and ask them, hey, would you like to participate in table topics? They may say yes, they may say no, but then you can cue off the table topics master as to whether or not they want to do that. So you're monitoring people's completion of projects, you're checking off on those roles. You want to make sure that people have the opportunity to get on the meeting agendas and fulfill the things that they need to reach their level 1, to complete that competent communicator, to reach level 2. Do your clubs, and I'll just ask a few people to respond to this, do your clubs tend to put out a lot of agendas in advance, or do you open up one at a time? Chris?
For 2 of my clubs, we have the next 4 meetings, all the open roles and the filled roles on the back of our agenda. So you can sign up 4 meetings ahead of time, but you can also meet with the VP of Education if you need to go out further. Because we have the whole year available on an Excel spreadsheet. We especially encourage our members, if they are going to be absent from a meeting, to sign up as being absent on those dates.
Okay. So you pass around a spreadsheet and that's how people sign up at that particular meeting?
On the back of your agenda will be the next 4
Mhm.
right away, that they can all see it. They just go meet with the VP of Education and sign me up for this role this night, this role this night.
Are there other clubs that do that at the meetings? After the meetings, people sign up for the roles for the next meetings?
We pass a sheet around, but we used to do it on TurboBase. But it's my understanding now that TurboBase is no longer available, and that's where we would have like all of our topics and who was doing what role. So do you know if there's any way that we can get into the old TurboBase to get some of the meetings that we had?
This free toast host is available to all clubs free of cost.
Well, TurboBase used to be too, that was sponsored by the headquarters.
I've not heard of Turbo
I
Base.
don't
I don't know.
Turbo
I don't know what that
In
program
Turbo
is.
Base, I think was done by South Shore, by Jonathan.
Yeah, Turbo Base,
So
yeah.
it's not something that was supported by TI or by
Okay.
District 35. It was something that they were doing prior to this, but free toast host is available. So
And you
free
can sign
toast,
up
yeah,
online.
free toast host is very easy. So if you would like some information on how to set that up, maybe I'll set you up with somebody in the district who can walk you through the
Okay.
process.
Yeah, that would be great, so.
It's a
we
very,
can get set
very
up.
easy
And you can
to
do that,
use.
then people can sign up online and you can open up as many agendas as you want. One of
You
the
can
things,
also print out the agenda from there also.
yes, yes.
Yeah, you can print agendas, you can send, the treasurer can send reminders from there to all the members saying dues are due. So it's very, very user friendly.
So is that on the corporate website then?
No, it's just your own clubs.
Free Toast Host is a separate organization or platform. It's not technically supported by Toastmasters International, but majority of clubs around the world use Free Toast Host.
Do we have information on our district website about how to access Free Toast Host? I wonder
We
if that's
can-
No,
something.
we do not, but
We
that's a
can put
good
that-
thing
Yeah.
for us
We
to
can make
do.
sure
We
that
can-
that
yeah.
information becomes available to you. I think one of the things that you run into with putting a lot of agendas out ahead of time is there are a lot of people that like to talk and they'll fill up the agendas, right? And it's sometimes hard to get a speaking slot. I don't know if anyone else has ever encountered that.
Yeah, we did.
I'm working on, I wanna finish this project and I can't get on the agenda.
We will purposely, in my one club, we have 30+ members, so we have 5 speakers every meeting. When we end up getting several new members in, we will purposely hold 1 or 2 speaking slots per meeting for the next 4 meetings for icebreakers, so we can get our new members on the schedule. We do not allow the same person to be on a schedule, meeting, that, because it's not fair to the other members, that they have to wait at least every 2 months, so that everybody can kind of rotate. But then we also offer at least 1 speakathon a month where we can have 10 speakers. Lately, we've been having 2 speakathons a month, so that between the 2 meetings, 10 speakers, 2 more speakathons, that's 30 speakers per month.
Great. So just so that you're aware that there are different things that you encounter and there are different strategies to work around it. Talk to your fellow officers, talk to members of other clubs. A lot of people have had this role. Come together and try to figure out how to resolve some of these issues that you have. So as the second ranking officer, if the president isn't there, guess who the ranking officer is? Vice President Education. So you open the meeting, you do all the things that the president would do. So understand what their role is. One of the things that hopefully your club is planning on doing is a club success plan. Does that ring a bell for anyone? Everyone know what a club success plan is? Does anyone not know what a club success plan is?
I'll say no.
A
You
club
will
success
know by the
plan
end of
is.
tonight.
Is that on the agenda? Is that gonna be covered?
That will be covered, yes.
Okay, but one of the things that the Vice President Education should proactively do is find out from all of the club members what educational goals they want to complete before June 30th of next year. At some point, you're gonna get notification that your area director is coming to visit your club, and they're going to have a form that they fill out. They're going to ask a lot of questions. And this is something you can hand them. You can say, these are our members that are getting this award, this award, this award, this award. So know that information in advance and look forward to that visit from your area director. They are a wonderful resource. They're gonna be a really good asset for you to be in touch with throughout the year. Speech contest, your club speech contest. Who gets to organize that, plan that, make sure it goes according to the rules? Whose job do you think that is? Could that be the Vice President Education? Second ranking officer, you work hard in this role, but it's rewarding. Again, think of your action plan. One of the things that you might want to do is find somebody who seems to be detail-oriented, who seems interested in helping get agendas planned. Take that person under your wing right now, because next year in May, your club will be electing new officers, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have somebody that you know is competent to carry on the legacy that you started for your club? So get somebody to help you, find a couple of people to help you. It's always important to have succession planning in your clubs and to have help. And again, resources. You're here. This is the first start. Read the materials. There is a club leadership handbook out on the Toastmasters website. It covers all of the club officer roles and responsibilities. Go through that. If you want to print it off, you can print it. If you want to print just the section for yourself, or if you're comfortable reading online, whatever works for you. We used to get these as club officers in the mail, and I had a hard copy, and when I was a club officer, it was on my nightstand. And every once in a while, I would pick it up. In the morning, I'm drinking coffee, I would go through it. It's something that you refer back to often, because there is a lot, and you're not going to remember all of it. Networking with other people, talking to other people, talking to other clubs, visiting other clubs. Go and see how other clubs put their programs together. What are they doing? Meet with the outgoing executive committee. Who had the role last year? Meet with that person. And then talk to your club president, talk to the other officers in your executive committee. Ask them, what is working, what's not working, what should we do? You got an important voice, and you should bring those issues to the forefront and not just ignore if something is not working. Don't let it sit in the pit of your stomach. Try to get it resolved early. Get people to help you. Meet with people about their educational goals. Check in with them. Get your helpers to check in with people. It might be a little intimidating to contact if you've got a large club to contact everyone, but bring in help and just see if people's needs are being met. When October dues renewals roll around, wouldn't you like that new member and everyone else that is currently a member of your club to happily turn in their dues for the next period? You want to retain your members. And that's going to happen when they're getting their needs met. Additional resources, and this is in the back of that club leadership handbook, so that information is there as well as it's going to be on the website, correct?
And in the location I showed you on that district website, the officer manual is out there.
Got a minute? Questions? Yes?
As a new member, here's my question. With this organization, is there any mandatory requirement that within each club, individuals should be exposed to all these different levels? I don't mean if they necessarily say I want to be president and they're brand new, because that would be ridiculous. with some type of process to where each person is exposed to this, just to see if that person has the capabilities or interests? and- and try and inspire them to move into those positions? Is that in place?
There is not a mandate, but in the Toastmasters promise, it says, serve as a club officer when called upon to do so. And I would point to that with your members if they seem to be hesitant and say, look, this was what you promised to give back to your club. That's a really good question because it should be new people stepping into these roles. They bring fresh ideas. They bring new energy to the club. So does that help? Does that answer
Yes,
the
yes.
question?
I only asked that question because, as no military guy, and just knowing, people love power. I mean, let's be serious. People like power, you know, and it's difficult for some people to let go of that. That's why I asked that question. That's
Right, right, so it's also a discussion about rotating new members in
Yeah.
and people who've had the roles before out. I saw a hand over here, Chris?
I was going to say, as you are getting ready to prepare for your upcoming elections in May, throughout the year, as you see people who have potential, oh, this person, he likes to talk to every single person, every single member, that would be a good person to tap into a VP of membership. Or as you're just kind of talking with them, and they say that they want to learn a certain skill, well, if your budget is not one of your strong points, maybe you should become the treasurer to work on those skills, if that's something that you want to do for in the future. So sometimes it's that discussion, and a reminder too, there is no minimum requirement to hold any of our officer roles. I know some clubs think that, oh, you can't be an officer till you've been a member for 4 years. Or so they set their own little standards, but there is nothing across the board that says you have to wait. We've had people step in, I'm gonna be your club president, and they've only been a member for 2 months, and they have done a fantastic job. So again, it's just, they have that spark, they have that enthusiasm, let's build them up.
That would be me. I'm joined in May and I'm the president. So.
Good for you.
Okay, another one from the Sheboygan area.
And another question right here. Did you have a question?
No,
You're good? Okay. Oh, acknowledging Sheboygan. Sheboygan. Very good. Very good. Dimitri.
Yeah, I just want to add something. So the goal of Toastmaster is to give people experience. People join Toastmasters to learn new skills, to improve their communication and leadership skills. And one of the ways you do this is by stepping into new roles and challenging yourself. And that's what we encourage. And we also, you work with the previous role, person had previous to transfer that knowledge and information so that you can do the best job that you can.
Yes, remind your members that all of us want to see them succeed. We all want you to succeed. We want all of your members to succeed. So repeat that often. We want you to be successful. We're not going to push you out there if you're not ready for it. With that, I think, is it time for a break?
That's
Short break?
7:05.
Short break until 7:05. So thank you, everyone.